When I grew up and I was in college, pronouns didn't exist then either, so I was very confused also when it came. I'm very happy about it. Is it extremely confusing? Is there like a situation where, oh, like now when I meet somebody who looks a little different than me, do I have to call them a certain way? Or if I use a certain pronoun, is it different? Will it be offensive if I get it right? A lot of people, when I meet them, they ask me this question where, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if I call them by he, she, they, it? So I go by it, usually. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thing, potato, tomato, whatever works. Whatever. I'm dressed as TEDx today, so I'm that. Pronouns are a little confusing, but that's okay. Usually the question of is it offensive when you ask somebody about the pronoun, a lot of people think it's offensive to ask, but it is not. I just want to clarify this in the beginning that pronouns are a very, very simple way of referring to somebody. It's as simple as knowing somebody's name. I know it can be a little overwhelming in the beginning because there's a lot that's there. Even the whole LGBTQIA++ has increased now, because when I was growing up, there was only LGBT, and then they added QAI++. I don't know what the second plus stands for. And it's okay because I'm learning every day. I just want to tell you guys about how I grew up. I grew up in Kerala, which is the southern part of this country. It's called God's own country, even though it's a state. I do not know why, but they call it a country anyway. It's a beautiful place. It's stunning if you were a visitor. I didn't have a great experience though. They call it a place of 100% literacy, which is very, very cute. Now the whole, I feel like it's a little overwhelming to tell somebody that 100% literacy state is this, but literacy is a very basic concept, you know. You just need to be able to read and write. And I've very unfortunately realized that that doesn't really translate to manners and understanding and empathy and all of that, but that's okay. I hope that going forward Kerala gets better as well. I grew up there. I grew up in a very Mallu Catholic conservative family. I do not get along with them, and that's okay. They've made peace with it. Especially when I sort of came to Bombay and I became very independent with my life. I asked my parents once where they were trying to assert an opinion of theirs, which they always do. But I was like, listen, I pay my rent, I take care of my food. If you're ready to pay for all of this, let me know, then I might consider the opinion, which I feel like you guys should try it as well. One day when you want to take somebody's opinion, just tell them, pay my rent and take care of my expenses. Then I will consider any opinion that you want. We all live in Mumbai. Rent is very expensive. It is the worst part of the city, but that's okay. So I grew up in Kerala. It was a lot of fun, is what a lot of people thought. It wasn't. Which I'm sure for a lot of you in India, the two options that you have when you grow up is to either be an engineer or a doctor. In my family, beautifully, I have both of them in my parents. One's an engineer and the other one is a doctor. And I was quite artsy as a child. Quite a cliche for a gay person, but that's okay. But my mother, she was very adamant on like studies and stuff like that, which I was very good at too. I was always first or second in class. I was a humongous nerd in school and university and all of that. I was always at like 96% and 97% and all that. Along with that, I used to always do a lot of extracurricular stuff as well. I was always in that team and this team, everything except for sports, which happened in my 12th grade. It was the most unfortunate thing that happened because I was the sports captain of the school. And till that point, I had not learned how to do march past. The 7th and 8th grade students, when, you know, like during these PE classes where you have to teach the juniors how to do march past, I was also the sports captain of Yellow House, who was also being taught to do march past so that I can do the whole flag thing on the sports day. But my mother, at one point, I think I'd gotten 97% in class. I was second in class, something like that. And I remember she went to school and told my teachers that, you know, you all are ruining this for him because you all have allowed him to be in all of these extracurricular activities that he's lost 3% out of 100. And that is very questionable. And that is the first time I actually, with reasoning, understood that she doesn't really know what she's talking about. Because even my teachers, when they heard her, was like, you know, unless he really wants to leave the groups and the teams and the communities or whatever, we're absolutely okay with his educational standards and how he's learning, so that's absolutely okay. So I never left them. And I think going forward, the whole idea was, it was so frowned upon to be anything apart from what was considered normal then, and also even though I grew up in like Trivandrum, which is the capital of Kerala, and you would imagine that they're very progressive or whatever, but it's not. I had my family and my family friends who would tell me, oh, why are you walking like this? Because I was very actively involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. I used to do skits and, you know, all of this and hosting something or the other. So I would always like walk across the stage, which when I do something, it would be great, but the walk before or after would be a problem, which I never understood what the problem was. But my parents never really came to the rescue either, especially my mother, who studied medicine and is a doctor. I was like, you could have figured this out better, right? But they didn't. But then I did psychology, very against whatever my parents' wishes were. But then I left that after university, and she was very disappointed. But I have two younger sisters who are twins. They're both engineers. They're very, very happy, according to my family and my relatives, and going away from what the norm was and what they expected me to do. I think my sisters really had to sort of stick to the norms, because I didn't think they have enough space to make mistakes, because all the mistakes that could be made was being made by the older brother who was supposed to show them the path. And I was constantly like, you know, go to college and drink. And my sisters were like, no, I don't want to though. But now they finally moved out because they work in the same company. They were twins that wore the same kind of clothes through their childhood. And I never understood why. And I kept telling them, you should find your individual path. But now they've moved to a different part of Kerala called Cochin. They work in the same company, in the same department, and they live in the same apartment. It's traumatizing to me. But they've stopped wearing the same clothes. But the category is the same. It's like Indian, you know? So they would just wear like 2 different shades of purple. It's cute, but psychotic at the same time. I hope they get out of that as well. Now they've understood freedom a little bit. They still haven't started drinking. I really want them to. But I'm a terrible influence. I never told you that I would be the greatest of influences in your life anyway. If you, I mean, there was somebody before me, please listen to him and take care of your nutrition and do that. That is important too. I'm almost 30, 2 years away from it. I still haven't figured that part out, but I'm sure workout pictures and gym posts and all has to happen for you, Gen Z. I'm proud of you. No, I like Gen Z. I really believe in it. Because honestly, when I grew up, there was so much that people said, you know, because there was no concept of people getting offended or canceling people on social media or like people discussing stuff, right? I'm proud of a bunch of you, but I'm proud of the other part of the Gen Z who sort of understood this. And I realized a lot of my friends who are a part of the Gen Z world of living has never questioned sexuality or coming out or any of that, and which is so interesting to me because there's no conversation about this anymore. The only conversation that happens is about how was it for you? Is it okay? And there's obviously the other side who still bullies and all of that. Now, I've been bullied a lot, but I had a great threshold. Don't do that, you know? You're a terrible person if you do this. If you think that you're gaining control by doing this, you're not. At some point, you will lose your mind, okay? Guilt will take over when you grow up. You haven't grown up as yet. Don't do it to people. But I love Gen Z for the understanding of it, and I also feel like as the years grow by, like today, I'm very happy and proud to be living at a time when Indian content, when it comes to cinema and OTT shows and all that, are stuff where you can't really do Dostana anymore, you know, and I'm very, very happy that, you know, Kantabai doesn't come with plates shaking when like 2 straight men are just lying down in a bed. We have, like, I watched the show on an OTT platform the other day called Class, and I loved it. But I genuinely enjoyed it. I'm just very happy to see members of the LGBTQI+ community represented very well. Earlier, it was always funny or humorous, and I don't think even people had the understanding. I think the number of people and the amount of people that called them out was also very, very less. They didn't have an understanding. Now I'm glad that people talk about it, and I'm just very happy that with the age of social media and where people are sensitive about things, that none of this will run anymore. And you should clap yourself for that. All of you guys have a great voice, and you don't shy away from voicing it. I hear from studio heads and production houses that, you know, you can't have this joke anymore because they will cancel you, and they will have such a big problem on social media that why would we take the trouble? You know, the trouble is still like, that's the conversation still, where should we take the trouble? It's not the understanding of this is incorrect and this is not what we should do. The understanding for them is, let's just not get into the category where we're being cancelled for that. This is not taking the trouble. I just hope that we get to a point where everybody understands and the conversation is around that. I think I got comfortable with everything in my life during the lockdown. I used to do makeup on my sisters when I was younger. It was, in hindsight, it was very, very cringe, but it was my outlet. We used to have these, whenever summer vacations would happen and just me and my younger sisters were at home and my parents would be at work, I used to do makeup on them. All my pocket money would go into buying makeup for them. It ideally was for me, but I was not that bold then to put it on me and show my parents. But I don't think my parents even appreciated me doing it on my sisters, because it was unheard of, a little frowned upon. I went deep into the closet during university. Even though I went to Christ, which is in Bangalore, I thought it would be like liberation for me, because it was the first time I was sort of living out of Kerala for like 3 years straight. I thought I wouldn't know people there. But Christ University is, it's one of the strictest colleges in the country, okay? You think it's fun. And I went to orientation on day 1, and they said, "Aap aaj se formals pehnoge." And I was like, I went shopping for this. My skinny denims were bought so that I could walk these roads inside the university, but we had to get formals. And not that I wanted to wear chappals with my formals. There are times when you just really want to just run, because you're not really waking up on time for university anyway, right? So I would just quickly run in full formals and chappals, but there would be a security outside every door, and they wouldn't let you in. In fact, they would send you to the dean for that. How many of you have gone to the dean in this university as yet? Nobody. These are all good students. Or is your dean here? No, okay, I'm kidding. So Christ was actually very liberal for a university that had a lot of rules. They were very accepting of the LGBTQI++ community. There were a lot of, like, we had something called the Ethnic Day, where like everybody would wear their ethnic outfits from across the country. And there were a lot of guys who would want to be gender neutral with their outfits, and they wore it and they had no problem with it. But I still felt like, because I think I was so uncomfortable with the idea of being out at that point in time because of my past in Kerala and what my family did. Because Christ is also full Malayali, just by the way. Like their management is Malayali, full like priests and nuns are there. And like it was like a extension of Kerala in the sense. So I was like, these priests though will know my father. So now we can't do much shit here. So I didn't do. I went straight back into the closet fully, even though I could see people representing their whatever and their identity very well. I didn't say anything. I came to Bombay. I slowly started opening up because I literally didn't know anybody here. And I felt comfort in that because I was like, I can fully start new and I can be whoever I want to be. And that was great. It was very, very liberating. And then the moment I became independent, I became a lot more open about who I am. Lockdown is when I was doing makeup randomly because we were all doing stuff on social media. So I did makeup on a friend of mine that I was staying with at that point in time. I did well. And we did season 2 of a talk show that I do called By Environies. That's where we sort of did makeup, and I was very, very scared because it was in the promo, and I thought there'll be a lot of hate and a lot of trolling, which I was very used to by then. But I was like, as long as you say something, I'm okay. But there was such overwhelming amount of love from the audience, which is where I also realized that if you're open and just very secure and confident about who you are, at the end of the day, people will come through. As long as you're not murdering people and being confident about it, don't do that. And that gave me a lot of confidence, and I also drove it from a bunch of you guys who sort of gave me a lot of love and told me that we appreciate you, and I love Gen Z for that. They're very, even if it's not their cause, they go for it. They're like, yes, we support you. We don't know about this, but it looks cool. You all are very opinionated, and I've learned to be a lot more opinionated because of you. And I think today we've gotten to that point where it's chill, but I'd like for it to be better. I don't know if there's anybody in the closet that's sitting in this audience, or anybody who's listening to me after this video is out. I really feel like, it's very cool to come out because we see a lot of videos. We think that it's not very easy, and I'm not pushing or I'm not asking anybody to come out of the closet just because somebody else that you know has done it, because your situation and your situation at home your parents, your family, your relatives. There might be a lot of things that you must have to handle. So don't just do it because somebody else has done it and it's very cool and like some video of somebody coming out on YouTube is trending and is going viral. That's not the reason why you should come out. I always say be very, very independent. At the end of the day, and this is not an Indian thing, this is a very, very global thing. A lot of bad things that happen around us, we always attribute it to India as one of the places. But globally, if you see, there are so many hate crimes across the globe. So figure it out, okay? Be independent. And even after that, if you don't want to come out, don't come out. Let nobody force you to do this. This is not a glamorous thing to do. It can this can end in very, very bad scenarios. I'm also not scaring you from this. If you want to come out, please do. But I just want to, because I feel like over the time, we've all become so opinionated and sensitive about things that we always push people to come out, you know, because we feel like we are giving them confidence to do it and be like, yes, you must own yourself and just come out of the closet and be who you are. All of that is great, but you should let people do this at their own time. If you're being an ally, be a good one, right? And I know there's a lot of information, right? Even I don't know all of it fully. I'm still learning. I still thought, like, till like 2 months ago, I really thought like a trans man that becomes a woman could bear a baby, which is not the fact. I was unfortunately struck down by a friend of mine, Sushant Didkikar, who is one of the biggest drag queens in the country, and a trans person. So take your time, figure it out. And also sometimes when you just want to do stuff, just do it. You know, there's a lot of opinions around us. It's fine. And I know sometimes you want to listen to all of this, but figure out your stuff. Always take your time because financial independence is a very, very big thing. Because as long as you're paying for the roof that you're living under, there is literally nobody who can stop you from that, okay? You can do whatever. And nobody would want to pay you so much money to take their opinion. Basically, what I'm trying to do is do whatever you want as long as it's not illegal. I'm saying this because a lot of cops outside, security they set, but I do not want to go to jail, okay? I mean, I'm just happy that I'm in a situation where I can love who I want and none of these people outside will arrest me. And you should do that too. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.